There's a very interesting story in John chapter 7. It comes out of the time when the Feast of the Tabernacle was coming up, and Jesus' brothers, Jesus did have brothers, and Jesus' brothers are telling him that he needs to get ready to go to the feast. And his response is very interesting. He puts it this way: therefore, Jesus told them, my time is not yet here. For you, any time will do. You see, Jesus was very alert to timing issues. And sometimes we don't pay too much attention to timing. So now Christ is teaching his brothers some things about timing. And he's saying it's time for you to go, but not for me. So then they go to the feast. And then a little bit later in the same text, he says, you go to the festival. I'm not going up to the festival because my time has not yet fully come. That's interesting. How often do you pray for something about you think you should do it, but is the time fully come? That's the question that Jesus is talking about. As I mentioned, Jesus has brothers, and now his family is trying to influence his timing. And these brothers at this point in the story were not believers, and they weren't that interested in God's timing. So now they're saying, you don't need to wait around. You need to go up to Judea and let yourself be shown so that people can see what you're doing. And Jesus says, no, it's not time for me to go. You see, he's very concerned about timing, and he wasn't willing to let his family influence his timing that much. But eventually, he does go. And later on, it says, however, after his brothers had left for the festival, he went also, not publicly, but in secret. For Jesus, that was important. Because you see, there is another influence in his timing, and is the world, the Jews. The Jews were determined that they were going to kill him. They expected that he would go to the festival like almost everybody else was. And so they were going to wait for him, and when he came, they were going to kill him. And if he would not have been alert to God's timing, they might have killed him even before the most crucial part of his ministry. So you see, real surrender includes not just the surrender to God's will, but also the surrender to God's timing. Belief in the New Testament is much more than just believing that God exists. It's believing that God calls us to surrender our wills and our sense of timing to him. Perhaps you're facing some questions of timing in your own life now. If you're convinced that what you are thinking about is God's will, then it's time to pray for God's timing, because real surrender includes surrender to God's will and surrender to his timing. That's what New Testament belief means. Surrender to God's will and his timing. Now it's your chance to pray. If we can help you in your walk with God, call us at Life Point Church, 612-305-8362.